Good morning. I haven't just started my morning, but you can tell that I'm at the beginning because curtains aren't open, bed's not made. I thought I'd take you along on a day in the life, but the first thing that I do when I get up is I make a pot of tea, and then I go and have my Bible study. It looks very different than what you might think compared to the normal slight bit of chaos and crazy at my house. But I don't turn on bright lights. I use lamps. It's kind of dark and cool and quiet, and that's how I like it. So I did that, and then I went out, yes, in my pajamas. I live living in the middle of nothing. And I did my farm work. Now that that's done, I can shower and start my day. Today I'm filming is a Monday. And on Mondays, I only have one meeting. It's not really a class because I'm not so much teaching as I am conversing with a deaf person who doesn't have a whole lot of people to converse with. She doesn't speak at all, so it's been interesting. She's lost a lot of her communication ability because she doesn't have anyone to talk to. So she is my only class today, and that means that with today being Monday, I can go ahead and get some cleaning done. Normally I get a lot of cleaning done on Friday, and then I do as little as possible on Saturday to keep from hurting for Sunday. I did not do that this week, and yesterday was rough. I did, however, manage to get to church anyway. So I'm just putting up my hair because it's not a hair wash day. Today is day 3 and the hair still looks fine. So I'll fix it when I get out of the shower, but I'm gonna go and take a shower and I'll be back. And I'm back. Now, you know what? I may just leave my hair like this because it doesn't look too bad. It'll be out of my way. I washed my face in the shower. And yes, I know. I'm a skincare professional who washes her face in the shower. For the record, my shower's not any hotter or colder than my faucet would be. In fact, it's actually a little bit cooler, to be honest with you, than the faucet would be. The sucker gets hot in the summer. Anyway, so now it's time to do something with my face. I typically put on makeup on Mondays, but I think because I'm going to be doing so much in the way of cooking and everything, I'm probably going to sweat it off. So I may not. I may just put on a little lip balm and call it a day. But I am going to take care of my face. So I have in case you don't know, I'm a Mary Kay professional, and everybody knows Mary Kay for their makeup, and their makeup is amazing. And if you want, I can do a whole video on that, just let me know. But Mary Kay is made in America, and it's made to EU standards, so that's why I like it. As far as I know, there's not another company like that. Anyway, Mary Kay has several different lines of skincare. For your 40, 45, 50 and up, there's the repair line. The repair line has retinol. The repair line has lots of things to combat wrinkles. Now, when I was younger, I said, you know what? I think I'll just grow old gracefully. I'll accept the grays and the wrinkles and I'll be just fine. I did not know what I was talking about. I was a sweet young pup. I'm now fighting it with every fiber of my being. No, you know. So the first thing I'm going to use is this Time-Wise Repair. It's Voluform, and essentially it just lifts everything. So I use it here where we have this tendency to get a turkey neck, right? I actually used to have one before I started using it, and now it's almost gone. So, and then I use it like on my cheeks and my forehead. But here is where I focus it. Told you, I'm fighting it with every fiber of my being. Now a little bit goes a long way with this. I mean, you see I was able to do basically my whole face and neck with just that one little bit. I try and keep them all clean, but sometimes it's hard to do. Okay, and then I go in with one of two things. This is our replenishing serum. It's vitamin C and E. And this is from our Clinical Solutions line, and it's the Calm and Restore. It's facial milk. Now, as you can see, I have a lot of red. I also have a lot of swelling. The swelling and the red is lupus. Isn't that fun? So I tend to use the calming milk at night because my face gets kind of puffy, but it gets very, very red everywhere, even if I don't go outside. So I typically use this one at night, and I use the C and E in the morning. Now again, one little pump. And you don't need much, you know. There are lots of things. I mean, I have a drawer full of lotions and potions, is what my husband calls it, to keep me looking young, right? These are the ones that I use most often. I have, where is it? Where's the other one? There we go. So, in the Clinical Solutions line, there's a wrinkle lifter. But in the Time Wise Repair line, there's a Voluform eye cream and a deep wrinkle filler. Now the deep wrinkle filler I bought for my husband, but I also use it. Now honestly, you're not gonna see many wrinkles. You'll see them on my forehead because I have laugh lines. And while I don't mind laugh lines because it means that I'm enjoying life, I use it occasionally, not every day. I put it on my forehead to combat some of those wrinkles. And then I use it, you know, where you get wrinkles the most when you're happy-go-lucky, busy all the time mom. Or grandma, because I'm both. I guess to be one, you have to be the other, don't you? Anyway, what I meant was I have a kid at home, but I also have grandkids. That's what I was going for. So I use it here and here. Now, the under eye cream I really love. It's got a metal, like, knob. Knob's not the right word, but I guess, I don't know what you call it. Anyway, a little bit goes a long way. I can't, there we go. And I just dab some there, and then I dab some here. And this metal ball is cold. So it helps if you're a little bit puffy. Now, I don't tend to get super puffy, but I didn't sleep great last night. Pain's been really bad for a couple of days. Now, another product that I really enjoy, and I tend to send as samples to my customers often, is this instant puffiness reducer. This works really well. And if my face was puffier, I would show you how well it works, because you can watch the puffiness go down. I can't even remember what's in the drawer. Okay. Dynamic Wrinkle Lifter. Again, I don't do this one every day. I do this one more often than the other one though. Whew. And then again, I just dab a little bit here, you know, where all those wrinkles come up, because you smile and your eyes crinkle up. My eyes crinkle up a lot when I smile. So, there now. The last thing that I'll do, aside from lip balm, is my day cream. This one is the Time Rise Repair Day Cream. It does have sunscreen in it. We do have some that don't have sunscreen in it. But this one also has the retinol. You know, that stuff's important to keep me looking young. Most people can't guess my age, Though now that I've told you I have grandkids, you're gonna assume that I'm over the age of 30-ish. Most people assume that I'm about, in my early to mid 30s. And the truth is I'll be 50 in a couple years. So in 2027, I will be 50. So I'm definitely older than you think I am. But one of the reasons that I look so young are these retinol products. And if you want more, I'm going to put a link in the description below to my Mary Kay site. If you already have a Mary Kay consultant, I call myself the Mary Kay lady. I'm your friendly neighborhood Mary Kay lady. Yes, I stole that from Spider-Man. He doesn't care. He doesn't use Mary Kay. Anyway, if you have a Mary Kay lady and she watches YouTube, tag her. Maybe people won't want to use me. Maybe they'll want to use somebody close. You know, you can always say, I'm in the northeast part of the US or whatever. I'm in the southeast, in case you're wondering. I'm in South Mississippi, originally from New Orleans. And no, you can't hear an accent. It's because I take great care to not have one. I've already brushed my teeth today. Otherwise, I'd do that before this. This, it smells so good. This is Satin Lips by Mary Kay. The Satin Lips set comes with a sugar scrub and then this lip balm. This is, Mary Kay has had a couple of lip balms. This has been my favorite every time. My daughter would tell you that the one they came out with at Christmas a few years ago, the mint one, that was her favorite. And I don't even know if we still sell that. I don't remember seeing it. But this lip balm is my favorite, and it's because it doesn't do that sticky, yucky feeling on my lips. You know what I mean? I have a thing about textures. Anyway, I love the lip scrub because all of those, like in the winter when your lips are really, really dry, they say just drink more water, your lips won't be dry. I promise that is not true. I drink a gallon of water a day. If that's not enough to keep my lips not dry, there's no such thing as enough to keep my lips not dry. Anyway, this is the one that I use, and I basically just keep it in my pocket during the winter because my lips are so dry. My hands get very dry too. And Mary Kay has several different kinds of lotions, but my favorite is the Satin Hands. It doesn't leave that sticky feeling on my hands. Anyway, I've already put on my necklace and earrings. I don't have on a bracelet, but I think that's how that's going to be today. So I am going to slip into my shoes because my feet are hurting. My arches have a tendency to fall and then right themselves. They correct them on themselves, which yes is weird, but it's always been like that since I was a little girl. But today that left arch is falling and it really does not feel good. So I am going to turn the camera sideways and I'm going to get my room back to straight, but I'm gonna do it with a voiceover and do it quick so you ain't got to watch the whole thing forever. So here you see me putting on rings. I'm making my bed. This is a thing I do every day. Not because I have to, but because I like to feel accomplished. Now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to clean the windows and clean up, you know, put away things, stuff that doesn't get done. I don't know about you, but my bedroom seems to be the last thing to ever get cleaned. As you can see, this is not a bench, in case you're wondering. There is a bench at the foot of my bed that's currently covered in things that have to be put away, and that's another tick on the to-do list today. But first I'm going to clean up this right here. I try at least once a month to spray the windows and the windowsill and the bench. It's not a bench, it's a chest, like a hope chest. It was my grandmother's, and one day it will be my daughter's. Anyway, I like to clean the top of it. I keep these pillows here because I like decorative pillows. And as you saw in my bed, there's already plenty. And, you know, maybe one day I'll put them in the living room, but right now I have pillows in there too, so I don't need to. Anyway, I also have to figure out mail these. So those are going to my office. So I'm going to clean this. And while I do, I would like for us to talk about faith. Now, I know not everybody is going to have the same faith as I do. And believe me when I tell you, that's fine. By the way, this is just vinegar and water in a bottle, in case you're wondering. It might be. I'm gonna move these like that. Ooh! And drop one because I'm good. Anyway, not everyone has the same faith that I do. And I understand that. But this is a Christian channel. And so I want to offer a little hope, you know, of faith. So I'm cleaning and you see me smiling about it. And that's probably unusual. And I can tell you it hasn't always been that way for me in my house. I used to very much rue the day that I decided to be a stay-at-home mom. It was a very thankless job. And at the time, my husband was not terribly supportive. So it hasn't always been an easy road. It was always the right road, but not always easy. I feel like you're just looking at my, there we go. Now you can see me while I clean the windows. Anyway, but God has been showing me now, just in the last little while, in fact, that this is a higher calling than anything that I've been called to. Now I have several callings. I have spiritual gifts. Everybody does. But this is the highest calling I ever had. And I wish, I don't know what that was. That was weird. I wish that I had realized and been taught that, you know, early on. But I wasn't. And, you know, we all make mistakes as parents, as moms specifically. Although I'm quite well aware that dads also make a lot of mistakes. So don't get me wrong there. But my job isn't his mistake. My job is mine. My job is doing what God instructed me to do, not correcting him on what I think he should be doing. It's not really how that works, you know? So I've kind of, I guess, changed my attitude toward housework in recent years. Now, granted, housework is much easier when there aren't as many children in the home, okay? And some of you have lots of small kids and lots of messes, and you know what? I get it because I've lived it. But those are the times when you just clean up the Legos for the 45th time, and then you say, thank you, Lord. These are children that you gave me. This is the life that you want for me. Help me be grateful. Now I don't pick up Legos anymore, you know? Ooh, I killed a fly and he stuck good. Anyway, it's a farm, y'all. There are going to be flies. Anyway, it's sometimes when you're in the trenches of mothering, right? It's really hard to see the blessings because there's so much need. And you feel like you're pulled in a bajillion different directions. And yes, that's a number. I just made it up. But the truth is, all of those directions should lead to Jesus. You know? When your kids need a hug, stop and hug them. They won't be here forever. And you can take that any way you want, but as a mother who's buried her daughter, I'm telling you, you're not guaranteed any time with them. They're on loan, and when God wants them back, He's taking them. And it doesn't matter if you're ready or not. So, enjoy cleaning up the Legos and hugging for the 45th time that day, even when you're touched out. I know it's hard, Mom. I know. I'm a hugger, and it was still hard for me. So I get it. It is hard to be everything for everybody. And I think the key to being successful at being everything for everybody is to make sure you're everything for yourself too. Take care of yourself. Now, self-care today is not what I'm talking about, you know. Self-care that the world preaches about, right? That's basically, let me change my flow of thought there. Self-care should be biblical. It's taking care of you, taking care of your health, your skin, your body. You know, God gave you all these things as a gift, and it is our responsibility to take care of those things and to love ourselves as He loved us. And I'm here to tell you it's not the easiest thing to do. Not at all. But it's important. And there's a reason that God decreed that we need to take care of ourselves and each other. See that desk right there? That's my writing desk. If you didn't know, I like to write. I write letters, I write stories, I write books, write all sorts of things. And that's typically where I do it from, unless it's an exceptionally bad pain day. And then I write from that chair or the one in the living room. Anyway, I noticed yesterday the desk is very dusty, so I'm going to clean it really quickly. That was not easy to say. Anyway, so I'm going to clean it real quickly because this is, you know, my space where I like to do the things that I enjoy. Now, speaking of things that I enjoy, that is part of self-care. And it doesn't mean that you sit in a room for 12 hours while your kids run amok. That's not a good plan for either you or your children. But it does mean if you have little kids, girl, use that nap time. Knit, crochet. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong necessarily with watching TV. Although I will say it's hard to find wholesome TV these days. You know what I mean? But I will say, while you're watching TV, don't let your hands be idle. You know what I mean? You could take old torn up clothes or whatever and put hymns on them and use them as dust rags, right? It kind of ties into like a waste not, want not sort of thing. For those of you who think, one day I want a roll top desk, they're so pretty. It's true they are, but sometimes they're a nightmare to dust because dust gets in all of the little roll top cracks. Anyway, I love this desk, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was a very joyous Christmas the year that I got it. But it is difficult to keep clean. Now, you know, the one thing you can bet on with me is that I'm going to be honest to a fault. Anyway, self-care from a biblical perspective means that you'll be able to take care of the people that God has placed under your house, under your tutelage, I guess. I don't think control is the right way to put it. It's just the word that came to mind. Anyway, I'm going to move y'all over here while we talk. So, whew, mercy. Ooh, and you're caught. I'm sorry. I hope you're not motion sick from this. And if you are, truly, I apologize. So self-care can look probably a million different ways. But one of the ways it could look is sitting everyone down for an hour, handing out books and saying it's time to read. So let's be quiet. Is it that easy when you have small children? It's not. They're still going to want a drink and a snack and a this and a that and everything else. But you can teach them. Train them might be a better word. I don't know. You can teach them to sit still and to be quiet. You could even put on an audiobook and let them listen to a book while you sit in your quiet space and read. Now, it is my opinion that everybody should have a reading corner like this one. Reading is not the only thing that I do there, but I gotta tell you, it's a big one. I love to read, and I didn't really have a whole lot of time to read when my children were young. But my children aren't young anymore. And so now, gosh, it's a mess up here, y'all. Anyway, so now, I lost my train of thought because I'm upset that I love this mess. Now you know what my life is like. Anyway. So yeah, self-care can look like taking an hour to read because you've trained your children to sit still and look at a book. Or listen to a book, you know. You could even, I wouldn't recommend putting on YouTube, and here's why. The moving pictures are lovely to keep their attention, but teaching children to control their attention is an important life skill. How many grown folks do you know who can't sit still for 10 minutes because they get distracted? That's a frustrating way to live. And that doesn't work. It's sitting there. I don't know why I didn't throw it away. Anyway, I know y'all see this, but I have tons and tons of eggs. There's actually one over here with a J on it. Anyway, long story short, I have a group of people. They call themselves the nest, and I'm the mama bird. And so I get lots of eggs from them, and I think it is a precious thing, at least for me. Anyway, so for me now, you know, I don't have lots of children at home and that sort of thing anymore. For me now, I can read pretty much when I want to, you know, when I don't have work or something else. Another egg. But now self-care looks like I take an Epsom salt bath every night. Now, Epsom salt, if you don't know, can help relieve muscle strain and helps with some discomfort. Now, I live in chronic pain. It does not take away that pain. However, it does help relax most of the time enough that I'll be able to sleep. And frankly, that's important. Your sleep health is important. It's another good point of self-care. If you're not sleeping well, oh boy, yeah. Okay. If you're not sleeping well, your body is not resting and recovering. I know we've all heard of the REM stage of sleep, right? REM, rapid eye movement. That's typically where people believe that you dream. No, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But what I do know is this. It's not just REM. there are 4 stages of sleep. There's awake, there's core sleep, there's REM sleep, and then there's deep or hard sleep. The deep, hard sleep, that's where the recovery for your body comes in. So I wake up and I'm in pain and I feel tired all the time. It's because I'm not getting good, hard, deep sleep. Now, you might say, gosh, how do you know that? I have an app that tracks my sleep because I'm a nerd like that. Oh. Anyway, but I think we tend to know, you know what I mean? You can always tell when a child has been here. There's tape on my desk. Anyway, you can tell, you know, when you've had a good night's sleep versus an okay night's sleep, right? That deep REM type sleep should be about 15% of your night. Now, for me, on a typical night, it's not that much. It's definitely not that much. However, it is important to know and to recognize your sleep patterns. Most doctors would tell you that it's important to have a good nighttime routine, right? Go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time, all week long. And, you know, we're human. We like to sleep in. You know what I mean, because some of you like it too, I know. And there's nothing inherently wrong with sleeping in. But making sure that you get the same amount of sleep is important. So if I'm going to sleep in till 7, then I adjust my bedtime. That way I'm getting the same number of hours, even if it's not the same hours. I hope that made sense. It made sense when I said it in my head. Did it make sense to you? Anyway. Oh. Yes, I'm aware this is a lot of books. No, it doesn't matter to me. But thanks for asking. Anyway, there we go. Okay. I've lost my train of thought again. I apologize. That is my life, you guys. That is my life. Train of thought derails on a regular basis. Anywho's it. There. My desk is finally clean again. Oop. Ah. Anyway. Yes, I do keep things in here that don't need to be gotten by anybody else. I keep meds that are not necessarily safe to get in the hands of a child, even a 15-year-old, you know. So I keep it locked and I keep the key. I have grandkids that come over and they're smaller, so I'm particular with it. Anyway, let's move on to the next part of our day and continue our talk about self-care. I have a mess in my kitchen. That's what happens when there's no 15-year-old here to clean up and I go down for a couple of days. Now you know. Anyway, so the other thing that I do for self-care aside from that bath that I told you about is I take time every single morning and I spend time with Jesus. I spend time in my Bible. I have a devotional book that I'm going through. right now. I typically do start with devotional books. That's just not where my Bible study ends. But it's a good place to start. It gives you kind of a, I guess, a jumping off point. And so that's why I use them. Anyway, so I come in here and you can see on my stove, there's a kettle, there's a coffee pot. The coffee pot's still warm. I make one pot, maybe two a week in this. It's a stovetop percolator. You can get them on Amazon. Is it better than like a drip pot? I don't know. I like it better. That's not to say it is better. That's to say that I prefer it. And those are two very different things. I'm pretty sure I left my basket outside of vegetables. I'll have to go and get that. Anyway, I'm going to be a little bit closer now that you can see, you know, some counter. Anyway. There. Wish I could figure out how to make it, like, does it zoom? It doesn't zoom like that. Okay. I have it using the front facing camera so that I can see everything, because it's just me here. It's just me. So I don't have a cameraman or anything. Anyway, camera woman, camera person. There we go. I don't have a camera person. That's what I'm going for. And anyway, so I spend that time. I come in here, I turn on my teapot, and if it's the day that I make coffee, I turn that on as well. I have, typically speaking, 2 cups of tea a day. I have one in the morning. That one may or may not have caffeine. And then I have one at night, which is typically something calming, like a chamomile or something like that. Finding all sorts of things that I didn't realize I had in cleaning stuff out. Anyway, it just occurred to me that I didn't have on the microphone. So I don't know how much you've been hearing. Let's try again. I hope the sound is better. And now I don't feel like I have to scream for the camera to hear me. Anyway, I make my tea, right? So the water starts boiling and I have pretty teapots and teacups because I like beauty. It used to be that I was only about the functional, but the older I get, the more I think life can be beautiful and functional. And so I now enjoy the beauty around me. I keep a little jar of vinegar. Oh shoot, this wasn't supposed to be vinegar. It was supposed to be apple cider vinegar. No, we all make mistakes, right? That one was a doozy. Anyway, no big deal. Pour it back in the vinegar container. Some days it do be like that. That's what my kids would say. Anyhow, so I have my little teapot here and my teacup, and my tea is ready. And what tea I drink just depends on the mood I'm in the day before. You know what I mean? So, y'all, we planted butternut squash for the first time, and we got a lot of squash here. And I have to look up how to deal with it because I'm not real sure what to do with it. I mean, I know how to cook it. That's not what I mean. I mean, how do you store it? I'm in the South. I don't have a cold room, and it's hot and humid here. So I'm not real sure how to store it. I think I can can it in chunks, and that's probably what will end up happening. But for now, I'm going to put them in this big colander so that I can wash them before I can them, which will most likely not happen until this weekend. Or, oops, all of his tomatoes went bad. That's terrible. That's the chicken bowl for today. Anyway, they will all get washed and I will figure out, I suppose, how to can them. Anyway, so I make my tea, and then I take teapot and empty teacup. I put honey in my tea in case you're wondering. I thought I would tell you. I put honey in my tea, and I take the teapot and the teacup, and I put them in my office, and I turn on my lamps in my office, and then I go in there and I read my Bible. Do you have to do all of that to have a good Bible reading session? Talk to Jesus? No, you don't. It's just what I like to do because it makes me feel good. It helps me focus. And focus, kind of an important part of studying. So, now you know. Anyway. This is another part of my personal self-care. Okay. Having issues with my phone. As I was saying, part of my self-care, I like grocery shopping. I know not everybody's like that, but one of the things I like to do is shop with Azure Standard. If you don't know what Azure Standard is, they're kind of like a co-op. They drop your order off to you once a month, sometimes twice a month, it depends. But here in my area, we've got once a month. And so you can go through their catalog and you can see all of the different things that they have. You can check out sales, all that kind of thing. Now I can do all of that online, but I kind of like the paper because I'm a little bit old school. A friend of mine at church yesterday said I'm analog, and I love that comparison because I totally am, even as a YouTuber. Anyway, another thing I like are seed catalogs. Of course, you know that we're farmers. And if you don't, welcome, we're farmers. But I love seed catalogs. I have a wildflower seed catalog that I'm going to do. I'm going to do a whole bed of flowers next year, just kind of sown into the ground, so that I have flowers to cut and put in here in vases because I like it. Anyway, that's part of self-care. Now, with that being said, I am going to do a spot of cleaning. I don't know what that was. I apologize. It was a terrible accent. But feel free to laugh at me because I'm laughing at me. So, I'm going to give my counter a little scrub. I'm going to refill this. And I'm going to put a couple of things away. And I'm going to do it all real quick. So as you can see in this sped up clip, I'm just cleaning the counter. You'll see 2 bottles. The first one has Fabuloso and water in it. And no, when the Fabuloso runs out, I will not be buying any more. Typically what I would put in it is just a smidge of dish soap and hot water and mix it up. And that's what I use to clean my counters. The follow-up bottle is the vinegar and water bottle. That's at least a little better. Some of this goes into other rooms and I will take care of that when I'm not filming because I'm racing against the clock here with this iPhone business, trying to figure out, I got to go through and like delete pictures and videos and stuff. And that's, well, frankly, it's a lot. Anyway, that's really all I wanted to talk about today. It was a little touch of self-care and kind of how to take care of yourself when you're taking care of your family and your house, and in my case, your farm. I think the greatest self-care we can do is stay in touch with the Lord. I pray all day long. It's not like I sit and do my Bible study, I pray, and then I go about my day. I go out in my front here gardens, and I water and I pick and I talk to plants, but I also pray over them. What we do here, what we grow food wise, is for our family, but it's also to help those in need. And that is something that's very important to the heart of our family and our farm. So we make sure to do our best in what we grow, so that if somebody comes along and says, hey, I don't have any food, I can say, here, let me give you some, fill in the blank. Or like if my mom or dad gets sick, I bring them soup that I've made and canned. Things like that. Anyway, the greatest form of self-care is prayer. It is said that prayer changes things. And I don't believe that. I believe that prayer changes the prayer. The person praying is who is the thing that prayer changes. Everything that happens for a reason, and none of it takes God by surprise. So I don't think by my praying for something and that something happening that prayer changed God's mind. That I'm the Lord your God, I changed not, right? Wish I could tell you the scripture and verse on that, but I can't. It's somewhere in the Old Testament. I do remember that, toward the end of the Old Testament. I'll have to look it up, and if I can find it, I will put it in the description for you. Now, I'm doing this on my own, so I'm hopeful to get it out this week, but I'm not sure if I know how, so I'm going to do my best, I promise. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and from our farmhouse to wherever it is you call home, we hope you have a blessed and wonderful day. Bye, guys.